Welcome to today's class. And very quickly before we go to our topic, we're going to be looking at a question. Must living things compete to survive? Must living things, must they compete to survive? As you can see in the video on the slide, you can see vultures eating an animal, and they are all trying to get some piece of it. So must all living things compete to survive? Yes, but now competition comes in different ways. So it's how you compete. When I'm talking about competition, it's there in your class, it's there in your home, it's there in the environment. So it's not only among the animals, but among humans. So every living thing, as far it is living, must compete to survive. That will lead us to a topic today, which is living and non-living things. Living and non-living things. So the objective at the end of this class, you should be able to identify living and non-living things, give examples of living and non-living things. You should be able to state the characteristics of living things and also explain. You know, there's difference between stating and explaining. So you're not just stating, you're not just knowing them, you're not just mentioning or listing them. You should be able to explain the different characteristics of living things. So what are living things? Living things are organisms that have life in them. Anything that have life in them, they are what? Living things. So that is, they possess all the characteristics and features that enables them to perform certain activities that non-living things cannot perform. That's what distinguishes them from non-living things. They possess some characteristics. They possess some features. We're going to look at those features as we continue in this lesson. So living things are organisms that have life in them. Let's quickly look at the examples of living things. What are the examples of living things? We have goats, we have sheep, we have the bird, cow, toad. But I've been mentioning animals. How about plants? We have the trees, the grass, the flowers, and also we have some microorganisms too that are living. So we have like Iglina, we have rhizopods. So living things are things that have life in them. And also we have looked at the example, you yourself, you are living, humans, example, whether male or female, young or old, we are living things. And from the slide you can see the tree moving. So it possesses a characteristic, a feature that shows that there is life in it. It's moving. You can see the rats, you can see the humans over there. So very quickly we're going to look at non-living things. So what are non-living things? We've looked at living things. What are non-living things? Non-living things are organisms that do not have life in it. That means they do not possess life. They do not possess life. That is, they lack the characteristics and features of living things. For example, your stone. Let's look at the examples. For example, you have the stone. It doesn't move. You have your pen. You have your book, table, chair, bag, pencil, your shoe, the water, cup, bucket, radio, headset, cleaner, your pencil, your pen. Those things are not living. They are not living things. So what are the characteristics of living things? Remember I told you that living things possess some features and characteristics. That's why we call them we call them living things. So what are the things you're going to see, and you're going to know that this is living things? So we're going to be using a mnemonics called Mr. Niger card. So we have MRNIGERCAD, Mr. Niger card, and each of them stand for a word. So the first one, which is M, is movement. So all living things move. That means movement simply means the act or process of moving, and especially changing place or position. As you can see on the slide, you can see a tiger moving. It's running, so it shows that it's living. That is movement. It shows that it's living. How about plants? Do they move? Yes, they move. Not in a place of maybe change of position as in animals, but they move. They swing. That is how they move. They respond to breeze, and they bend. That's how plants move. So animals move and plants move. Anything that can move, that possess the feature to move or change position, is what? A living thing. The next one is R, the letter R, we have respiration. So what is respiration? Respiration is the process in which living things take in oxygen to break down food and produce energy. So respiration is the process by which living things take in oxygen to break down food and produce energy. In this case, it is animal. Animal takes in oxygen and they give out carbon dioxide. And they use these oxygens that they take in to break down food in order to produce energy. In the case of plants, they use carbon dioxide through the process called photosynthesis, which we're still going to look at as during the course of our class, during the course of our lecture. So respiration, the letter R there is respiration, and is the process in which living things take in oxygen to break down food and produce energy. So we're going to the next letter, which is letter N, nutrition. Nutrition. Letter N is nutrition. We've looked at M is movement. We've looked at R is respiration. Letter N is nutrition. So what is nutrition? It is the intake of food by all living organisms, plants and animals inclusive. So you might want to know, do plants take in food? Yes, they do. They take in nutrients from the soil. That is how they eat. They take in nutrients from the soil. And animals, we eat also. We take in food in order to live well. That is it. If you don't have nutrients in your body, you won't live well. You can't perform well in the real life. You will be malnourished because you lack some nutrients. So all living things take in food. They take in nutrients. They take in food in form of nutrients in order to live well. We've looked at M, movement. We have looked at R, respiration, and now we've looked at N, which is nutrition. Very quickly, we look at the next letter, which is letter I. It is irritability. Irritability. So this irritability is also known as sensitivity. You can also call it as response. So what is irritability? This is the ability of a living thing to respond to reactions from external environments. Ability of living things to respond to reactions from external environments. From our slide, you can see a woman holding her ears with her two hands. That means she's responding to a sharp sound, and it might not be pleasant to her. That is what irritability. Ability for you to respond to your external environment. We respond to pain. Some persons respond to pain by shouting. You respond to pain. When you are happy, you respond. When something like heat touch you or something that is hot, you respond by shouting. Or maybe someone pinches you, you respond. That is you responding to your external environment. But is it only animal or humans that respond to their external environment? No, plants also do. For example, the Mimosa pudica, when you touch it, it responds by what? Closing. When it's open and you touch, it will close its leaves together. So it's responding to the external environment. Plants also respond to winds, to waves, by what? Swinging or bending. They're responding to their external environment. So we're looking at the next letter, which is G. And the next letter, G, stands for growth. Growth. Growth can be defined as the quantitative increase in size, weight, and height of a living thing. Growth can be defined as a quantitative increase. So it's visible in size, weight, and height of a living thing. So every living thing grows, whether it is plant or animal. Whether it is plant or animal, they all grow. So growth is one of the characteristics or features of living things. All living things, plants and animal inclusive, they all grow. We go to the next one. The next letter is letter E. We've considered M, we've considered R, we've considered N, we've considered I, and we've considered G, and now we move to letter E, which is excretion. So this is the process whereby waste products are removed from the body. It is the process whereby waste products are removed from the body. So these waste products in animals, we have them as urine, we have them as sweat, and we have them as feces. But also in plants excrete. We have them as gum. those, if you go near some trees, you see them producing some gum-like substance. So that is, they are excreting too. They are bringing out the waste products that are found in them. So the next letter is R, which is reproduction. Reproduction is the process by which a living organism produces its young ones or likeness. Reproduction is the process by which a living organism produces its young ones or likeness. As you can see in the slide, we have the snail laying eggs, and that is how it produces young ones. Once the eggs hatch, it brings another snail. In the case of human, they give birth. Same with goat and some other mammals, they give birth. And plants too, do plants produce its young ones? Yes. You can get plant young ones through what? Planting their seed. When you plant their seed, you get new young ones from them, either from the seed, or you use the stem or the branches to plant them to get new ones. The next letter is competition. Do not forget, we're using the mnemonics Mr. Niger, CAD. We have looked at Mr. Niger. Now we're going to CAD, that is CAD, competition. And if you remember from the first slide, the intro, I said, must living things compete to survive? Yes. So this is what is competition? This is the ability of living things to struggle for all the necessities of life in order to survive in their various environments. There are things that are necessary for survival for all living things. So your ability to struggle to get these necessities in order to survive is what? Competition. As you can see in the slide, the snake is eating, is spraying on a rat. And so that is competition. If these snakes keep feeding on the rat, before you know, they will go out of extinction. So how do the rats now survive? They have to grow, they have to have some special features for survival. And we're going to look at it in the next one. But very, very quickly, we're still looking at the competition. So the ability of living things to struggle. As human beings, what are our necessities? We have the air, we have food. Those are necessities. Shelter, those are necessities. And those are how we compete. We compete daily for these things to survive. The next letter we have is A, adaptation. This is the ability of all living things to develop structural and behavioral features that make them to survive in their habitats. Every living things have its habitat. Plants and animal inclusive, they have their habitats. For human, our habitat is land. For some other living organisms, some animals, we have their habitat in water. So humans will possess lungs, mammals especially will possess lungs, and that is why we can survive on land. That is our special feature for surviving on land. For animals such as fish, they survive in water because they possess gills. Humans cannot survive inside water because we don't possess gills. So we can adapt. There's nothing we don't have any special feature that will make us to live, that will make us to survive in such environments. So adaptation is the ability of all living things to develop structural and behavioral features that make them to survive in their habitats. So for example, like chameleon, for it to survive, it possesses different, it has this feature of changing color according to the environment. So whenever it gets to an environment, it adapts to that environment by changing color. And so that is how it saves itself from what's being preyed upon by other animals. The next letter we have here is letter G. Do not forget, we are coming from M. We looked at R. M is movement. R is respiration. N is nutrition. Mr. Niger, I is irritability. G is growth. E is excretion. And the second R we have is reproduction. Then we'll move to CAD. C is competition. A is adaptability. And D is death. When living things stop carrying out their daily activities as described in the characteristics such as movements. When you see a living thing, it stops moving, it stops respiring, it doesn't respire again, it stops growing, it stops eating, taking up nutrients, and it stops growing, as I said earlier, and it stops reproducing, it stops excreting, it stopped competing, it doesn't, and it cannot adapt to the environment, you can say that that living thing is dead. So whenever all living things dies, so it's a characteristic of living things. When living things stop carrying out their daily activities as described in their characteristics, when they stop possessing those characteristics and they stop doing them, you can say that they are dead. So very quickly, we're going to look at some questions from we're going to practice from the ExamGuide app. So when you get to the ExamGuide app, you click on Basic Science, which is the topic we are considering, and you go to select topics of interest. I've already selected the topics already, so you go there, you click on the topics that you want, and you click on OK, and you get started. So we're going to be checking out for questions that are relating to living and non-living things. So we have a question here. It says, which of the following is not a characteristic of living things? Which of the following is not a characteristic of living things? We have A, expansion. We have B, feeding. We have C, excretion. We have D, movement. We have E, respiration. So we just quickly go down the memory lane to Mr. Niger card, and we see if each of these things, these options that were mentioned, can be found there. Expansion, is it expansion? Do living things, is there something like that? Expansion, okay. Then we move to the next one, B, which is feeding. Do living things feed? Yes. Let's go through it. We have that under nutrition, so it's yes. Living things, they feed. C, we have excretion. Do living things excrete? Yes. Yes. D, movements. Yes. E, respiration. Yes. So the answer is expansion. There is growth in living things, but it is not expansion, it is growth. So living things feed, they excrete, they move, and they respire. Okay, we have another question here. The breakdown of food substance. The breakdown of food substances to release energy is referred to as. The breakdown of food substances to release energy is referred to as. We have A, reproduction. We have B, respiration. We have C, excretion. We have D, irritability. We have E, nutrition. So we're going to go through it. We know that this is the characteristics of what's living things. So A, we have reproduction. Is that the breakdown of food substance to release energy? No. Respiration. What is respiration? What is respiration? When you take in oxygen, what does it do? It is used to break down food substances in order to release energy. So our answer is respiration. Definitely it's not excretion. Excretion is the removal of waste product. Irritability is response to stimuli, that is you being sensitive to things around you, to your external environment. And nutrition is feeding, not necessarily breaking down of food. So the right answer there is respiration. Thank you for participating in today's class. You can practice more questions using the ExamGuide app. The app scores and gives detailed explanations of all the questions at the end of your practice test. You can also learn a particular topic of interest with different modes like study modes, mock modes, and practice modes. It has other features that make learning fun. It is a must for all serious students. Download from www.examguide.com if you don't have it yet. See you in the next class. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell and share the video with others that will benefit from it. Bye for now.